How old were you when you got your first job, and what was it?
I did not have a job. Never had a job.
Well, can you, since you didn't have a job, you've done mountains of philanthropical work. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm a professional volunteer. Well, that's all I've done for 72 years already.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things you've done?
Oh my gosh.
It can be the most recent things, because I know you have.
The most recent, you know, on 11th Avenue there is the Sheets Center for, okay? About 3 years ago, just about 3 years ago, I had an idea that we graduate wonderful people from Penn State Altoona. They disappear. There's nothing for them here. So I began to think about entrepreneurship, and I've done that all my life with kids. And I thought, this is a good thing for me to do. So I went to the president and the chancellor, and I told them my idea, and they loved it. And I called it the pipeline because we're in the steel business, and I wanted my husband to be part of it in some way. Pipeline for the advancement of entrepreneurship. In the meantime, we had to have a lot of money to build a building and, you know, do everything. And so Steve Sheets stepped up with $2.5 million, which was a lot more than I could have given. So it became his project. However, I know whose project it is, and I keep up with it. And it started, this whole thing with entrepreneurship started with the temple. I don't know if you guys know that we used to have a scholarship program. We do not have it anymore. You know it. We have had a scholarship program where we could give, like, say you wanted to be a hairdresser, and you graduated, but you don't have any money to buy a building or go into business. We could loan you $5,000 for 7 years at no interest, and you could stay and open up, okay? So my idea was the same with the entrepreneurship, that if I got $3 million, which is what I got, because I got $2.5 from Steve Sheets, or the Sheets Corporation, I should say. And that's what we intend to do. At the end of the 4-year period where the school, you know, started, in 4-year course, at the end of that course, they could borrow from us, from the entrepreneurship group, $5,000 to go into business in Altoona, pay it back in 7 years without any interest, and of course that'll start next year. So that's the most recent. But I have to tell you the most wonderful one. When I lost my little girl, Melissa was her name, there wasn't any other place for my own children, three other children, and 2, they were not adopted and they were not foster children. They were children who needed a home, and I brought them in to live with us. So I had 5 children and a very distraught husband. And it's been in my back of my mind to do something about that, because there are other people who have that problem. Excuse me. So about, I guess it's about almost 10 years now, I went over to Pittsburgh to see Mr. Rogers. You all know Mr. Rogers? To see what he did. And what he did was start a project called Caring. And I just thought it was wonderful. They took grieving children. You may have lost a dog. Kids grieve over a dog. I know that from my own, as much as they do for a person. So I went to the Highmark, who sponsors Mr. Rogers' home, and I said I wanted to do the same thing. And he said to me, number 1, you're too old, and number 2, you let me know when you get the project started. I'll help you, but you have to start it. I said, okay, and I came home. I was really furious. I was determined that this was going to happen. It happened because I made it happen. When you want something and you want it badly enough, you go after it. You do it. So I started the healing patch. Have you heard about that? Okay. We have had in this, no, we're just doing the tax returns. In this 1 year, I have two now. I have one in Evansburg, which treats kids from the outside of Pittsburgh, Johnstown, and Altoona. And I have one in Altoona because we had most of the children that came were from Altoona. Can I talk about that for a minute?
Absolutely.
Because it's really something, and I think all of you should know about it. We had 93 children this past year in Altoona alone, no charge to any kid at any time. The place is set up so that it's for 3 to 6-year-olds in a room that's set up for them, 6 to 12, and 12 to 18. The 6 to 12 is a grown-up room, much, like you're used to, but it still has boards, blackboards, things you can, put things on and all that. And the 12 to 18 is set up like a living room. We also have a room for the people that bring them, because people that bring them are just as in need of help as the kids that come in. Anyway, it has been thriving. I wish it didn't have to thrive so badly. I wish we didn't need, but that's the way the world is. We live, we die, and that's it. So these kids have been just wonderful. And recently, and I don't know if you know this name, Tom Schweitzer?
Yeah.
You know it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tom came and saw what I did at the healing patch. He went back to Virginia and started it. His place is called The Place to Be. And the difference is he treats them with musical therapy. Plus the fact that he charges, plus the fact that he takes women, children, doesn't matter, men, anybody, But this is the Highmark. I went back to them, told them, that I started it and everything's working, and they now train the volunteers for me. So, but I would say that's about the best thing that I've ever done.
I know, Tom.
Okay.
Has your family ever gone through a crisis?
Gone to a what?
Gone through a crisis.
Well, I think losing a child is the biggest crisis in the whole world. And I don't think there's anything worse than that. So I would say yes.
Do you make any special Jewish foods? Do you make any special Jewish foods?
Any Jewish
Foods.
Foods.
Like matzo ball soup.
Do you make any special Jewish food anymore?
No, I don't. My grandmother lived with us, and she was as modern as you guys are, and I am. In my own family, I tolerate all kinds of things. I have a very ecumenical family. They are not all Jewish, and I don't think in the world today I don't think it'll ever be that way. I think we blend, and that's what makes peace. So that's it.
What's your favorite Jewish food?
No, I think that's, maybe they needed it back there at the time they started. Maybe they had germs from all over the place. Who knows? We weren't there.
Well, do you have is your favorite, do you really like matzo ball soup or brisket or things like that?
I like everything. I really like everything. Irish stew, Hungarian goulash, and anything Jewish matzo balls. We'll put it there. I like everything.